Here's Jordan Joe Hollabaugh.
3.1. She's in the money.
She was about as fast as she could have been on that one.
2.9 seconds. And now she is number one.
You are officially in the loop. Welcome back to In the Loop podcast. I am here today with the one and only, they call her the Queen of Breakaway, Miss Jackie Crawford. Jackie, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, I mean, I feel like you've been on this podcast several different times. We won't count because that would give you your age up. We don't want to do that. But, I mean, you have been an advocate part of breakaway roping. You're known as Queen of Breakaway roping. You're known as Jackie Crawford. But to me, you're known as a friend. How would you introduce yourself to somebody who doesn't know who you are? How would you tell them who you are and what you do?
Oh, gosh. You know, I think that the breakaway roping gets thrown in there a lot, but to me, it's just roping in general. I mean, I love every event. I love all of the industry. And so to me, it's just I'm just a lover of the industry.
Yeah. Well, and we all know you love to rope. We've heard about the history. Small town girl from Oklahoma. My husband always says, yeah, Jackie Crawford, she showed up with 2 coils and she threw it a mile and
Not a clue.
nobody knew what was coming. And he said, man, she was real ropey.
She didn't either. Just thought you were supposed to throw it as far as you could throw it.
You did. Yeah. Well, and so we've experienced that journey. We've talked about, so many people have heard about, from Oklahoma to college to, now we just see you in the pro rodeo realms, but there's a little bit behind the story. So I'm going to bring in an intro and then I want you to follow up with it. But you went to Tarleton State University where you went to college. And then you go on and you moved to Larry D. Guy's house. Mm-hmm. You moved to the Guy Ranch and you started really working on your roping and training horses. Talk me through what that season looked like.
Yeah, so backstory of kind of like what Raymond was talking about. Grew up in Illinois. My family roped, which my family was very successful in the rodeo industry. They were, my dad and his brother were one of the only people from Illinois to ever win the high school finals. My mom is inducted into College Rodeo Hall of Fame in Kentucky. And so very successful in the rodeo industry in Illinois. And we moved in Illinois. I ran barrels. I did all the speed events. If you can imagine me running barrels, poles, the whole thing.
Did you have a stampede streak?
Yeah, I needed one. But no, it did very well. And my mom was an outrider on the track and great horsewoman. We moved to Oklahoma. I saw girls roping and I was like, oh man, I want to do that. And even though I know my mom had healed and stuff, but I just wasn't around it in Illinois. And so that's where we went. I took a little barrel horse that I had, a ratty little barrel horse, and trained her to be a breakaway horse, and just with my mom's help, and did really well and ended up doing great and actually won a high school state championship on that little mare. And so as I was going along, I kept having this desire I would go to Shawnee or I'd go to places and I'd see people from Texas and these girls that were coming and roping at these places, and they were so tough, and they just always had an aura about them. They came from Texas, the whole thing. Well, I had some offers to go to college, close to home, and probably would have been smarter to do. But in my opinion, I was like, man, I had really fallen in love with the sport and I'd really fallen in love with doing it. And so I said, if I'm going to excel and get better and get past where I'm at right now, I want to be around the best. And so I kind of got ridiculed a little bit. They're like, you could have stayed here and made the college finals every year. And I'm like, well, if I make the college finals, I want to make the college finals against the best and know that when I get there, I'm prepared. And so I took a less of a scholarship to go to Texas. I went to Vernon College. Mm-hmm. And the first year, I got my butt kicked. I mean, I got ran over. They didn't even know I was there. And it was pretty embarrassing. I won more in the goat tying than I did in the breakaway roping. Wow. I mean, it was
nanny slammer.
It was nasty, yeah. And but I just never, I at Oklahoma, I had done well. I'd kind of, the starts were different in high school though. And when you go to the college, Southwest region is the toughest region there is. And so I was figuring out those longer starts, those different setups. And then, of course, you walk into a huge group of girls that are so handy and just so competitive. And so it took a while. And then the second year, it was really cool because I was able to make friends that were very competitive and amazing. We had an amazing group in Vernon. They still, it's still kind of a storybook thing that they actually write about, and so we hold records there. But Tessie McMullen, she ended up being one of my best friends, and we both, just thrived off of each other. And we ended up going my second year. I won the Southwest region, won the college finals. We won the women's team. It was one of the first junior colleges to ever win the women's team at the college finals. And and our men's team won the college finals.
Wow.
That's the first time that a junior college has ever done that. So that was really fun. And then we moved to Stephenville, and Stephenville, we ended up winning a second women's title in Stephenville
Yep.
with some of the same girls. Me and Tessie were both on the team there. And so it's kind of cool to go through that area and be able to surround yourself. And the people that I fell into were just such a godsend. Like, you can totally see how it was played into my life, because the people that I was surrounded by, I learned so much from, not just competitively. I had the desire to be competitive. I had the work ethic. My mom instilled a work ethic in me that I'm very proud of. But the people that were around that just kept me from probably falling off the edge of things that I shouldn't have been doing or whatever, and kind of placed me in places. And so I'm super grateful for that. I went to work. I made friends with Larry D. Guy. I went to work for Larry D. Guy. And that's where like the step up of horsemanship really came into play. I got to ride horses that I would have never got to ride, you know what I mean? And opportunities to learn from someone that had been there, done that, trained amazing horses on the team roping side, the calf roping side, all of it. And that's kind of where, and had an arena and calves and just learned so much in that era of my life. And that's where I kind of started. She was kind of on her way out, didn't tie down calves or do any of that. Well, at this time, Breakaway was awesome, and it was in all the amateur rodeo associations, but it wasn't where it is now. And so I just tried to find every avenue, whether it was heading, heeling, roping calves. I mean, I tied down a lot of calves. I loved it. I love training the horses. I love the horsemanship part of it, and seeing those horses. I got to ride a bunch of like Trevor's young horses and stuff, and just getting that, your foot in the door in that type of those type of ropers and trainers and things like that. And so rock along. Then eventually, I think I worked there for 7-8 years, something like that. And then I kind of wanted to branch out on my own, and and it was a scary time. It was a really scary time. I moved back to Stephenville. I always knew I wanted to come back to Stephenville. I loved it here. Came back here, and it was like, here you go, sink or swim. Hey, you don't have any safety nets. You don't have family money to fall back on. You don't have anything. You've got some colts, and you've got, at this time, I had gotten T-Boy.
Yep.
And he was young, but he was still, and we were still going through some of the battles that you do with young horses, and never knowing what he would eventually do for my career. But I had him, and I had some colts, and I had some people willing to take a chance on me. And I trained at a place for a second, and then I was like, man, I want to do my own training. Thank goodness my friend Jamie Roach, she let me move to her place. I lived at her place. I took every outside horse you could possibly take, whether they were good or bad. It was a trying time, but it was also one of the most rewarding times and funnest times of my life. And that's where it was cool, because I got to see kind of how, I guess, not just girls, but also guys in the industry kind of respected some of the training and some of the roping that I was doing, because I had a lot of those guys call, and I ended up riding a lot of horses for, NFR guys. I got to see a lot of the horses that I was riding go on and be rode at the NFR and win, accolades and watch those horses for a long time. And that was super fun. And that kind of made me think at that time that I could make a living by myself doing this and make a name for myself and kind of succeed in the industry on the team roping and the breakaway and calf roping side.
Well, and there's a video that you guys are going to get to see here in a second of you tying one down, and you and Kelsey Chase are probably, Kelsey Domer now, Kelsey Chase, always call her Kelsey Chase, two of the women that can step off and hold their slack. I don't know if you can still do it, but you used to could.
I just did it long enough for them to take a picture. I wasn't going to get jerked down. I could hold it long enough, they'd snap a picture, and then I'm like, yep, I'm out.
But I mean, phenomenal accomplishment, especially as a woman. And to know, like you said, there were no safety nets. I think that's something a lot of people don't know about you. I remember when you were going through that time in your life, you ended up buying a 6-horse trailer, and it had a small living quarters in it, and it was like everything you had went in that trailer. You showed up at the 3-Star Memorial one time on T-Boy, which is roping that we used to put on in Amarillo, Texas. And I remember you won it that year. And I remember you saying, Jordan, I'm so glad I won it. I didn't have any money. I didn't even know how I was going to make it home. No, and I thought, there is no way.
No,
But you truly didn't. You went it was all in, guns blazing. And and then to have the opportunity to ride those horses, for Trevor to call you, for Tough to call you. I mean, as a woman in the industry, what an awesome accomplishment for them to trust you to do that. But then to know, like, hey, I've worked really hard to get to this place to where I am making a difference in these horses.
Yeah, it was fun. And yeah, like when I was in Abilene, it was Larry helped me, Big Larry, he helped me get that 6-horse trailer. And that was like my pride and joy. That was the first living quarters that I had ever had, and I just loved that trailer. And so rock along, and it served a big purpose, because anybody who knew me back then, I mean, when I showed up to a roping, I didn't just show up on the horses I was roping on. I would show up on the horses I was roping on, and I might have 3 young horses or outside horses, and then I'd have a young horse of myself, and I rode the entire time. I tracked out every calf. I mean, I was always in the arena on something, trying to get something seasoned, trying to get something going, trying to make a dollar, going to all that. I mean, I remember Tibba telling me one time, she's like, I remember when we were in college, you would show up, we'd get somewhere from an amateur rodeo at 3:00 in the morning, you'd load your trailer up and head out again, not sleep at all, and get to a U.S. calf roping so you could try to get your lunch money for that week. And that's truly how it was.
Yeah.
And it was just like every turn in the road, it was like somehow or another, God's just laying a little pebble out for you to get, and making you survive, and really letting you know that, all right, you're still going in the right direction. Just keep pushing. You'll come through this on the other side. And so it was fun though, because I got to see, I mean, there were several horses that I got to eventually watch go on. And, there was a little gray horse that was owned by the Adams, and thank goodness Randon Adams put a lot of faith in my training, and he would send me some great horses. They had a little gray horse that I eventually got to before we could even breakaway rope. I had that horse for a long time, and used him in the tie down, and then rock along, he sells to, I think, Blair Burke, and I got to go to Pendleton and watch Charlie at Pendleton, and here I look down, and there's about 8 guys riding that little gray at Pendleton, trying to make the finals on him and stuff. And I got to watch him go to a lot of places. And then I had Squirrel of Monty Lewis's for, gosh dang, I think I had that horse for 8 months. And the wildest story, I don't even know if I should tell this story so that everybody can hear it. But I got this horse, and he had been roped on when he was really young, and he was kind of hot, and he needed some help in the calf roping. And I tried to take him, and he would just leave the box. He would get in there, he'd be real nervous, and he'd leave the box, and he would just be running. But we would run in a straight line, and he was fast, and we would run in a straight line, and we were not going to follow the calf. And I mean, I was just like, okay, we need to break this back down to ground zero. So I would take him, and I would go rope the dummy, and I'd have somebody pull the dummy, and I would track this dummy. And I mean, we would climb all over the dummy. We wouldn't follow the dummy. We wouldn't do all these things. It's like, he was so talented, I think, that he could do these things at a young age, but he needed to go back and regroup. So we went along, and I'd track the dummy, and then I finally got where I could track a calf under control, and then I'd go back in, and I wouldn't run one out of the box. I would just score, and I'd track, and I'd score. Well, in the meantime, I would put him over on the head side. He was a big, strong horse. I'd put him over on the head side, which Squirrel is I don't know, in case anybody, like, that's the brother to Deputy. Deputy is the last horse, popular resort figure, one of the last calf horses that Trevor made the finals on. And they were 4 and 5 when they started busting out at the pro rodeos. And it was now Riley George rides Deputy.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Deputy's
so
still holding strong and
Deputy's
winning a lot
still
of money.
going. So Squirrel, I would head on him. And I kept telling them, I'm like, hey, you guys are team ropers. You need to come watch this horse in the head. And he's amazing. And just never happened. And I had this horse for, gosh, 8 months, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a long time. And still, and I mean, I'd gotten where I could, breakaway on him good. He got good in the box. He did all the things good. Well, they called me one day, and they're like, hey, Monty Lewis is coming to try that horse in the calf rope. And I was like,
Monty who?
You guys, I haven't even tied a calf down on this horse in like this whole time. Like, I'm like, we're not there yet. And they're like, well, he's coming Saturday or Friday, whatever it was. So I had 2 days, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So I hurry up, I work him on the log, I make sure he remembers how to work the rope, do the thing real quick. Not roped a couple on him, tied one down. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. Like, here it is. Monty shows up. He runs 6 calves as fast as you can run them on him, loads him in the trailer, and hauls him straight to Houston. Never stops rodeoing on him till the NFR.
I love it.
Never went. And I'm just like, if they only knew he hadn't had a calf roped on him. He's been a head horse and tracking, and like, we score. Like, it was not. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
We're gonna have to ask Monty if he headed any on him ever.
I hope he. So years later, I show up. It's been not too long ago, 3-4 years ago. Monty had him forever. He did really good on him, rode him forever. I show up to a rodeo in West Texas, and I think it was an amateur rodeo. Or no, it might have been once they turned the pro rodeo it's one of the last rodeos over in West Texas. And I look up and I see this horse and I'm like, squirrel. Like, it's like, what do you, like, I'm looking, he's old, whatever. Look up and JoJo Lamont is heading on him.
No
at
way.
the rodeo. And I'm like, this is what I wanted him to be the
That's
whole time.
so cool.
Yeah. So
Well, and it's
kinda
fun to see, just the life of these horses. I don't think we talk about it enough. And as much as they're athletes and they truly change our lives, as I'm sitting here in your home looking around, just all the things that you've won, but yet the horses you've rode have helped you to build this place, to win these accolades, to just, do everything. T-Boy obviously comes to mind, and the breeding and the training and all those things. One of my favorite memories as we transition and talking about breakaway roping, because obviously we're breakaway ropers.
Yeah.
The first world title you win, Cheyenne Britton is back there loping T-Boy around, and it was down to the three of us. It was you, me, and Martha. And it came down to, at that time, it was, we roped 10. This is 2020. We roped 10 calves, and then there was an 8-man, 4-man.
Yep.
So the top 8 in the aggregate came back, and then the top 4. So it was me, you, Martha, and Larry D, top 4. And I won't ever forget you, me, and Martha. It all depended on where we stacked on who was going to win the world.
Mm-hmm.
Larry D comes out. I think she breaks the barrier. I came out was 2-5. I think I had to win it to win the world. Martha comes out, it's 2-3. So she won the 8-man round. I win second. You win the world. But the coolest memory that I have is Cheyenne Britton was back there warming T-Boy up, talking to T-Boy. Just, that's her in her atmosphere. And as soon as, I don't know why I caught eyes with her, as soon as they announced, she just started bawling. I still get goosebumps. And it was just such a touching moment. Not because, yes, obviously you won the world. I was the first person to give you a big old hug, which you had Journey in your belly, so that's what I mean, big hug.
Big hug.
But to know just how far that horse had come from the time you roped on him to then, the things he'd won you, all the things.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I can't hardly talk about
what
it.
that horse means to you.
I can't.
I know.
It's good. Like, that horse is the reason that for everything. Like, he is what like taught me. So like I get emotional talking about him because like he was that horse I had when it was do or die, sink or swim. And he's the one that, like, gosh dang, you talk about grace, like that horse, like he has grace. And so, dang it, Jordan.
Sorry. It's what we do here on In the Loop.
Man, he let me, if he could tell stories, he let me do everything on him. I remember when he was young, I was trying to win the world, and then world got turned upside down, and I didn't have anything but him. And he went to the WPRA finals, and I breakweight on him, I headed on him, and I tied down calves on him. And it just, like, he took it.
Yeah.
He took it, and he let me win. And it was just, like, the amount of times that I messed up as a rider and do as we all do, and probably didn't. I got mad when, Ian Francis always says that violence begins where knowledge ends. Well, when I got frustrated with, I didn't know what to do with him, because sometimes we would stop, sometimes we would just rear up and, head to the back end. You just never knew. And so, but it wasn't him. That was on me, because I just being in that place where I hadn't trained enough of them to know, and just him just taking all of my mistakes and all of my faults and all the things that I was doing that I shouldn't have. Probably, I was riding wrong. I was roping wrong, all the things. And he just took it.
Yeah.
And he didn't just take it for me. He took it for a lot of people. I mean, I remember we hauled him, and, I wish that he'd have got to see the type of money that is available now in his prime, because that horse was just, he's
a winner.
He was just a winner.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, but I'm telling you, everybody that ever stepped on him, he won for or gave him a chance to win. We hauled him to Reno one time, back when Reno was the biggest thing we had, and they had a breakaway and an all-girl team roping. And we went out there, and Beverly Robbins headed on him in the all-girl team roping. Me, Kelsey, and Larry D all rode him in the breakaway.
Yeah.
And I want to say 2 out of the 3 placed in the top however many on him. And he just took it, and he never faltered. He never did anything wrong. He never, I don't remember him ever, costing anybody in any big ways. Now, I remember I can't remember. I want to say when I started dating Charlie and I was trying to do,
She
be
can't
the
remember when she
best
did
of both
that either.
worlds. I remember I wasn't going to go to the Rosh Termin. The Rosh Termin was one of the
Mhm.
biggest ropens there for a while. And it's in I can't
September.
remember. I think it was
in September, wasn't it?
either Kelsey or Larry D, one of the two, asked to borrow him. And they borrowed him that week. And they won, I want to say, like between 12 and 15,000 on him in the week.
Wow.
And then they took him, and one of them took him. I think Larry D took him. I get confused of how many people. Anyways, they took him, and they won did good at the TCRA finals, did good at somewhere else, and the other one won like that much money on him. You know, he
That's so
just
cool.
won for everyone. And I remember we went one time when where I'm telling like old reride stories because that was his prime. And but we had all flown maybe to Reno. I don't know. It's when they started having some more breakaway ropens, and we went somewhere, or maybe we went to the all-girl team roping when they still had it at Reno, and that was one of the biggest things. And a bunch of us caught a plane back, and we went to Mahia because Mahia was one of the biggest
2 in the
UPRA
morning where
rodeos.
you sweat your butt off.
Yeah. Mahia. And there was 5 of us in the perf all riding him. All of us. And I want to say 2 of us won like in the top 5. Another one placed on him and somebody else missed. But like he just back to back in the perf. Like we just jump and just all jump rode that one horse. And he freaking just fired and gave us all the same.
I love it.
You couldn't falter him. He wasn't going to set up on anybody. He wasn't going to he was just him. And I just don't think he gets enough credit for how many events he did. And he went full time from the time he was 5 years old. 5 years old is the first place I hauled him, and it was Joe's Boot Shop back when Joe's Boot Shop was a 5-header, and it
Clovis.
was the highlight of the year. And I took him out there, and first roping he'd ever been in, and won Joe's Boot Shop on him. And I mean, I had all sorts of gags and
The equipment. We won't talk about the equipment on here.
It was just like, but he won it.
He did it.
Yeah, he won it, and he never quit being that horse his whole career. Even when he got crippled, he's got a bad stifle, he's got whatever. And so I think from 5 to 17 or 18 was the first time I ever had to lay off of him. And I got off him because I felt like something wasn't, like something was hurting. It's not like he was just real bad, but something was hurting, and he wasn't firing. And I had Kevin, and the first place I stepped off of him, and I cried like a baby, and I rode Kevin at the American when he was 5 years old because I just felt like something wasn't right. And so from 5 to 18 or whatever it was, he took all of it, every bit of it.
Yeah.
I mean, every roping, every rodeo, every calf roping, the heading, he did it all.
Every
I
bit
remember
of it.
when they first had pro rodeos, when they said they were going to add Breakaway to the pro rodeos, I went by myself from Texas, and I put T-Boy in the trailer, and we headed up, and I was going to go, it was Ellensburg, Moses Lake, Moses, right? Moses Lake, and I think there was one other one up there, but there was a bunch of amateur rodeos. So I took T-Boy, loaded up, I went up there, and I'm like, if they're going to have a pro rodeo with Breakaway in it, I'm going to enter. So we went up there, and I entered all those, and then I entered all the amateur rodeos, and I would enter the Breakaway, and I would head on him for Garrett Jess, my buddy Garrett Jess, and we went to all the amateur rodeos and all the pro rodeos just on that one horse. And so he never quit, and then I put him back, and I said, you know what, I need to let whatever's going on. When he was 18, I said, I need to let whatever's going on. He don't owe me a thing if he wants to sit out there. Well, when I came back last year from the summer, he just was running around. He's got his own pasture, and he hates being in a stall. He hates a stall. And he's got his own pasture, and he likes to have somebody out there with him. So I'd put something out there. Well, I would have to go get my head horse, and he would just try to beat me out the gate. And I'd watch him. He'd just run, and I'm like, that sucker is sound. And there was Kimes Ranch coming up, and there was NFR, and there was, San Diego. There's all these winter rodeos, and I'm like, he is tearing around out there, and he looks fine. And I called the vet, and I sent him a video. I said, call me crazy, but do you not think that he looks perfect? He's like, bring him in, let me look. And he calls me from the vet appointment. He's like, hey, he looks as good as I've seen him in forever. And so I'm like, all right, bud, if you're just raring to get out of the gate. And so got him legged up, tried it again. I went and I rode him on some at the Kimes Ranch. And honestly, he did everything perfect.
Yeah,
he
he
was
did good.
outstanding. I was more worried because it was the first competitive run I'd made on him in 2 years. And I was more worried and jumped the gun instead of just being, knowing that he was
He's
still
gonna
going to
do
do
his
his deal.
job.
You know what I mean? He's still going to fire. He's still going to do his deal and make it easy for you to rope out in front. And so he did great. So I used him on the ones that I thought he'd be good at Kimes, went to the finals. I didn't think it was going to be an easy setup for him, so I just didn't do it. Then I waited and at San Diego, I knew kind of the setup and the calves at San Diego had been the year before, and I thought, you know what? They'll be perfect. He can get out there early. He can rest. He can just do whatever. I'm going to take him out there. So I took him to San Diego, and he was like old school him.
Yeah.
Like that was probably as much fun as I've had getting to rope, and it was so awesome. And I got to win San Diego on him, kind of one last little hoorah and big chunk of change. I think we won 30-something thousand, almost 40,000 out there at San Diego, and he was a rock star and had to have a rope off and everything. And I mean, he was awesome. He was as good as, I went, I fired on him however many times trying to get back, and then came down to a rope off, and all I had to do was catch. Calf fell off over to the left, and I mean, he just tracked him, let me take an extra swing, and just same old, like, just let you win horse at, 20 years old. And so then I was like, all right, well, a lot of these winter rodeos are fast, and he's firing, whatever. So the next stop, I took him to Fort Worth, and he was great. Won a little bit there, and then I took him to San Antonio, and I felt like the first one just felt like, that gut feeling like something's not right. And so my biggest thing is I will never have him hurt. I just not, it's not worth it to me. He don't owe me. I'm just not that type of, I'm just not going to do it to him. And so when I thought he was hurting, I got off him. I rode the roan Trojan, and I just said after that, I took him back in. They're like, man, his stifle's kind of bothering him, whatever. I said, okay, I'll never ride him again. Never again. I'll never ask, to me, that was him saying, yeah, we're good now. And so I'll never ride him again. But he built me. He built my career. He carried me through everything he was the horse that came through the evolution of bringing the Breakaway in. He was the one I've won the first 50,000 on. He was the one I qualified to the American on the first however many times. He's the one I won my first. He's who I trusted to win my first world title on, while I was pregnant. He's that horse. He will always be that horse for me. And so, yeah, he's done. And then I think the second horse that I think had to be great was the little black mare that I showed up in Texas on. Like, that was kind of just a cool deal. She was one of those deals that I needed a breakaway horse. We didn't really have the type of money, and if this tells you anything, like, we went to we had heard about a couple different horses, and long story short, my mom heard about this horse. She's like, look, I can come up with 3,000, and I think at the time my granddad said he would help with 3,000 until we could pay it off. So $6,000. And we went and we drove, like, it was like the middle of the night. We got to Arkansas. It was after her work. My mom worked like 3 jobs to try to make opportunity. And we took off driving like right then. I had a high school rodeo that weekend. We took off driving. I tried this mare. We buy her. I'm so pumped. Like, it's the first horse, like, like, it's a finished horse. It's a finished rope horse, whatever. Take her to my first high school rodeo. And she's a little crazy. I mean, that's what you're going to get for a little cheaper. You know what I mean? And we go down, and I'm like proud, and I'm taking her through. You got to understand, like, I'm trying to fit in at this point in my life. Like, I'm just trying to fit in, right? Like, so we get in, and I take her in the box, and I'm going to ride her in the box. I'm going to walk out, and I ride her in the box. I walk out, and everybody's warming up before the rodeo and everything. And I walk her out, and I stop her, and she looks up in the stands and falls over on her side, throws me off, gets up, takes off running. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Like, this is how crazy this.
Good thing the Cowboy Channel wasn't there.
Yeah, good thing. Like, this is how embarrassing it is. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, well, rock along. That little mare ended up being outstanding, and I won a ton on her. I won Oklahoma High School on her my junior year. I won, which I started high school rodeo my sophomore year, and then my junior year I had gotten her my sophomore year and was trying to make it figured out. But long story short, she ended up being the horse I won the college finals on, and she was just an awesome mare.
Yeah. Now,
with that being said, she was not for everybody. She didn't stop, but this is back when Raymond talks about how I didn't know the difference. So I could score, I'd nod, we'd start going, I'd pull, I'd start swinging. I had 2 quills, and I put my flag at the sticker of your rope. I didn't cut it off. I just tied my flag right there because I thought Name of the game was throw it as far as you could throw it, and that's it. And so I had timing, and I could figure out how to. My mom made sure I had a good practice horse in high school, and we went 1-2 a lot. And I just thought that's what you did. And so I would come out and I'd go 1-2, and I would throw it to the end of my rope. And by the time I got right here, it would pop off, and she would just slow down enough for it to pop off, and then we would freaking prance with our head up all the way to the back end. Like it was a train wreck, but it worked. Like it taught me to win. You know what I mean? I knew how to be a winner, and so she was a good little mare though. She ended up being a great mare, and somebody else could get on her and make her work all pretty and fancy and stuff. But yeah, that was another great horse though.
I love it. Well, and talk about you winning. You know, anytime Breakaway comes to mind, obviously you're going to come to everybody's mind because you've had so many firsts. First WPRA PRCA World Champion, WCRA Champion, the American Champion. Don't have enough fingers to count all the championships. But, I mean, you had so many firsts. With that success, and I'm so glad you've told the story of where you came from and how it's evolved because people need to know. What comes with the success of winning?
The good and the bad?
The good and the bad. Let's just let it all out.
Oh, I mean, obviously the good was, I mean, the more you win, the more that, you know, people want to be a part of that journey and they want to get on your team. And I've been so fortunate to have amazing sponsors. And I had sponsors, I mean, that were with me since before Breakaway got big, that they just saw a girl roper that it was different. You know what I mean? It was something different because I was kind of a girl walking in a man's world, but not in a bad way. Like to me, you know, some people talk about it being not equal or women. I was always welcomed in the rodeo world in every event. I mean, we're welcome to enter the team roping. We're welcome to do these things. And so there were sponsors that saw the value in that, and they saw a girl wanting to do something a little different and really press those boundaries a little bit. And so it was fun because I was a girl and I did get to go enter Salinas and Cheyenne, and I made it down to the finals of the American, and you know, as a team roper, not a Breakaway roper.
As a team roper.
As a team roper. This is before the Breakaway was even big. Like that's where we went. And so that part is really cool. And that part, and I've made relationships and had people that, you know, your ride or dies and have been behind you for so long. And like I said, I'll forever be grateful to the sponsors that stepped in and even made it possible for me to even keep doing that when the money wasn't there.
Right.
You know, the bad part of it is learning how to, I guess you would say learning how to deal with not adversity, but I think the more success you get and the more attention you get and the more things you get, you also see a reaction of jealousy and things that, you know, kind of shock you, I guess, in a way. And so, like, for instance, I would say, like, for every big success, you also hear a nasty little untrue rumor that you're like, the heck, why, like, I've worked my tail off my entire life to be in this position. And then to have somebody say, like, you know, when I won the first 50,000, the very first WCRA 50,000, that Breakaway was the first event. I had heard a rumor after that. The reason I won that, I think that people just have to have a reason why someone continues, like, wins and wins and wins. And the rumor about that was like, well, yeah, she won that because she got free nominations. Are you freaking serious? I've never had a free WCRA nomination in my life. It's just like, why would someone say that? Like, what is that jealousy point? And then, like, you know, the first world title. Oh, she won the first world title because she knew there was going to be, she has insight with the PRCA and the whoever, the WPRA, whoever it might be. And she knew there was going to be a Breakaway finals and didn't tell anybody. That's why she won the first one. It's like, are you serious? Like, I knew we were going to have a finals. My husband didn't even know he was going to have a finals, but I guess I didn't tell him
because it was
either.
COVID year.
It was COVID year. So we had no idea we were going to have an NFR, but apparently I knew that, and that's why I won the first world title. It's just these crazy things, you know, like the American. When I won the American the second time, that was the year, and it was the second time I won it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the second time I won the American. But it was back-to-back years, and so there was they had changed, that was the first year that the American changed the rules of that you can't take, when you're at the semifinals, you can't take two. If you qualify twice, you can only take one back to the perfs. So I was 11th at Tulsa. Well, I got picked up into the perfs or whatever to go in. It was said that I went, hustled back, I guess, had them change the rule book, all this stuff real fast so that they would pick me up and do this. And I'm like, you can't even how do you even think to make this stuff up? And so learning to deal with the other side of that has been really challenging for me because I am a people lover, a people pleaser. Like I naturally, I wear my, like, I get my feelings hurt a little bit. And so to think that someone would even think that, like, number one, say it. Number two, believe it. Like, that's just kind of crazy to me. So that's kind of the bad stuff. And I think that a lot of young girls, as they start to, I've been asked some of these questions by young girls, and it's like, man, this is something nobody talks about. But when you do have success, you are also going to have haters. But haters mean you're having success.
Right.
And so it's actually, let it push you. Let it be like, man, there's a reason. And I think the biggest thing that I've had to learn just even in the last year or so is don't try to defend yourself. You have no reason to defend yourself. Like you know the truth. You know the things that you know how you've competed your entire life. You know the values that you stand by. You know all these things. Don't go trying to defend it because that's not your business. And so, yeah.
Well, and I like how you flipped that to where you're like, use it to motivate you.
Yeah.
Because whether it's rodeo, football, basketball, Tom Brady comes to mind. Just all of the rapport that you've heard about him, good, bad, or indifferent. He still kept showing up and he kept winning. And that's one thing that's undeniable are the wins that you've had.
Yeah.
And how you flipped it to use it to work for you. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from it is how do you work for you? Because we're all entitled to an opinion, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like just let everybody have their own opinion. Let you roll on with it and do it. But I've seen that. So did you come with that mindset? Is it the people you're surrounded by? Like how, if you're going to give advice to somebody that's, that's the hardest thing. I think is everybody wants success, but do you want what comes with it?
Yeah. 100%.
So how did you train yourself or, how do you have that mindset shift? How do you create that atmosphere where you can still thrive and continue the wins? Because one win is okay, but then how do you continue to build on those wins?
Well, I think that, your motivation can't come from outside. Your motivation has to come from you. That has to be something that you want to do, that you love to do. You can't draw from outside. With that being said, you also have to be very careful with who you surround yourself with. You have to be very careful with who you trust your heart and your name and your, and everything you have with. And so be around people that are motivated. Be around people that want to, they want to work. They want to do good. They want to get better every day. They want to have grace. They want to, you are who you kind of surround yourself with in certain ways to an extent. And so I think that making sure that your greatness and your work ethic and your drive and your goals are for you.
Yeah.
And make sure that you truly love what you're doing because that's what's going to keep
it.
that's what's going to keep you going.
You have to love it.
The whole time because there's so many other variables that go on and will come up and there's so much more pressure when you do win. There's so much, everybody's going to have an opinion even if they don't know you. I mean, there's going to be people that have opinions about me and I've never even got to speak to them. There's people that'll say, well, she doesn't even speak to me. And I'm like, I've never not spoken to someone in my life. Like that's one of the things my husband gripes about. He hates it. He has been so like annoyed with me. He's like, can we not just go somewhere and you don't talk to every single person that wants to stop and have a conversation? I'm like, I like people. You know what I mean? I like people. I like to
Can't
talk
help
to
it that
people.
you're a hermit.
Yeah, you're an introvert. I'm an extrovert. But I genuinely, I like people.
Yeah.
I love people. And so it's, I think that's, yeah, I don't really know if that answered your question. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it does. And I think the biggest thing to showcase is there's different ways that people go about success. And I thrive on that, to be a student of the game. Like, how does Jackie do it? How did Larry D do it? How did Kelsey do it? How did Martha do it? How did Shelby do it? Because I think that's the biggest thing I've learned is when you want to have success, you also have to realize what comes with it and be prepared get there. You know, we were talking to your husband earlier, and he was like, you know, when you're on top of that mountain, he said, when Jackie won the world, I felt like I was looking up at her thinking, you're eating steaks and fillets and I'm eating McDonald's down here, and it's real crowded down here, but it's not crowded where you're at. So, but I mean, you're going to go up the mountain and you're going to come down to the valley.
Oh, yeah.
Too. And so I just think it's interesting just to get everybody's perspective that has had success. Like, how do you, you know, multiply that success, and then what do you do when you've went through the valleys?
Yeah, I mean, that's the competition. Honestly, the competition part is not even a struggle for me in a sense. I mean, I feel like I've gotten in more binds, honestly, like maybe comparing my style or myself to someone else.
Mhm.
And when I know that my style and it worked for me, the competition side isn't necessarily what's hard. I think as long as you're mature enough minded to know that you're going to spend a lot more time losing in this industry than you are winning,
Mhm.
no matter how big of a winner you are, that, you know, don't let the bottom times, you know, mess you up or get you down or let it spiral out of control. That's just how it goes. That's just, we have so many uncontrolled variables in this industry that you have to be able to just ride out those lows, do your thing, have confidence in whatever your game plan is, and roll with it. You know, I think it's especially girls, which you see it in guys. You see it in every single event. I mean, you've heard things, I've heard things, you know, and it's like, well, so and so, they're doing this, but it's like, okay, you also see that at a time that they're really winning. And I think that one thing I really want to like instill in myself and my kids is that don't ever be that person that makes an excuse or a reason why someone's winning.
Right.
That person is winning because they're a winner and they've obviously put in the work and they're doing that. Never make an excuse. Never buy into this narrative of trying to tear someone down because they're a winner. Join in.
Mm-hmm.
The more you join in and you rejoice. I love seeing these young girls come up and start kicking butt. I love seeing them have their first successes. I love seeing the talent and knowing like what they put in behind it. Like, I want to rejoice in that and encourage that and be behind them. And like when I see them struggle, be there to be like, hey, you know, like, do this or don't let it get this, or just be there in a way to be supportive and like support other women. Support, and it's not just women, you know, guys go through the same thing too. And it's not like, you know, I'm saying we're probably not going to be there as much for them, but there still is times like that. It's just people in general. When you struggle, be there. When you don't, I love seeing that rejoiceful. And I don't ever want my kids to be, I don't ever want to train them to join in on that, oh, let's make a reason that this person wins. Let's you know, drop these little seeds of hate about this person and try to make people believe it. I don't want that. I don't want my family to be that, and I don't want to be that. And so trying to navigate and never fall into that or be a part of that is something big in my family.
Big on your heart. Talk about your family. Your husband's huge in everything that you do, journey, creed. How has being a mom changed the way you're a competitor?
Changed the way I'm a competitor in honestly, good and bad. Good in the fact that I don't let the arena get too big. You know what I mean? It can't get too big because when you walk out, they don't know that you did good or bad. And it's all the same. You know, it's that you're just mom to them. And so I don't let that get so big because I realize it now with the kids is that you can't, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really not. That's just something we do. That's not what defines us. That's not who we are. That's just what we do. And so in that way, it really keeps a lot of things in perspective. Now, competitively, it is harder. It's a lot harder. And there's a lot of girls out there. I'm not the only one doing it. There's a lot of girls out there traveling with their families and trying to juggle all this. And let me tell you something. I don't care what you do, whether it be society or whatever, or just that thing that we have in our heart as moms that tugs at you to find the balance of life. And there never really is such a thing, right? You never actually find it. And so to me, it's harder in the sense that competitively, because I've always been such a hustler. The person that people see now or in the last 8 years is not the person I was for 20 years before that. The person they see now, I go, I rope, I do my deal. I kind of go back over, I play with my kids, you know what I mean? And then we're leaving there and we're figuring out, all right, where are we going to go to, what Chuck E. Cheese or what Legoland or whatever. And we might be doing it right before the rodeo, you know, like we've had that experience before. And so that is a very different aspect of like focus, I guess. Not that I ever had to have focus, but I was still in the game because I used to show up to whatever roping or whatever rodeo, and I had my 6 horse. And like I said, I had my horses I was competing on, and then I'd have 4 colts or outside horses tied to the fence. And then when I was there, I mean, I was the calf girl. I kept track of every single calf that went through the chute at all the first big ropings. I mean, I remember staying up like rope for the crown. I stayed up till 2:00 in the morning trying to make sure it was the best set of calves that I could possibly do. But I'd just go back through notes. I'd ask other people for their notes. I mean, just going through these notes over and over again. And I mean, the American, whatever it was, everyone knew. I always had the notes. I had everything about it. And so it's a very different thing because now it's like, I'm trying to get these kids settled. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I can't do it. And I get scared to halt like colts with my kids. And now when the kids go, if they want to take their horse or Journey wants to take hers, I'm like, well, I don't want to take a chance on taking, this colt and doing this. But used to, I mean, like I said, I was tracking out every calf that was there. I stayed for the next ropings. I would stay and ride my colts. If I roped in a breakaway roping and they had a calf roping, I stayed and rode 3-4 colts after that and made sure that they got exposed and seen and stuff. I can't do that now because I don't.
Changed.
It's very much changed. It's very much changed. It's a very, very much more laid back individual because of just that is my priority. That has to be my priority right now. And their safety. And even that, I still freak out sometimes. I'm kind of that a little bit crazy. I mean, I hire a babysitter to go with us all summer because I'm not willing to not have an eye on them at all times. And I always try to tell her I want them where when I'm in the arena or I'm right outside the arena, I can see them. Yeah. Even though you're with them, I still want to be able to see them. If I can't see them, I kind of freak out and I have no focus on what's going on in the arena. And that's hard. And I'm not saying that I can even get it done when it is that actually, you know what I mean? And so all the spare time, instead of the spare time being spent on every waking hour, was engulfed with roping or training or a horse of some sort or a rope of some sort. And I'm talking every waking hour, it's so much of that has shifted to you have to have that divided time with your kids because you don't want to look back. I know I don't want to look back and think, man, I was too self-absorbed about this that I lost this memory or this instance with my kids. I mean, you've seen it. A lot of friends, like when we're rodeoing, they're a priority. Like days, like if we're not at a rodeo, we're looking for some memory to make with them or them to get to do something. And yeah, they might be spoiled, but they've seen more than most people have in a lifetime, but that's what I want. I want them to love their childhood.
So your husband, Charlie Crawford, huge part of your life. And earlier we were talking about him and you're like, he does this, this, and this. I'm going to let you tell it. Talk about the man that he is and how his roles have evolved in y'all's marriage.
Oh, I mean, I still am just, I look at him sometimes and I'm like, other than the marriage times where you're like, no, I look at him and he wears so many hats now. It's funny because when we first got together, he was rodeoing full time, team roper, trying to make it. And I just saw a guy that he was sheer try. You know what I mean? That's all it was. And I was like, man, I admire that in someone, just having that sheer amount of try. And I admire him so much because as we were dating, he was rodeoing. I was trying to hold the fort down. When we got married, I'm trying to hold the fort down. Got Creed, trying to fly out there, trying to do all the things and do all this. When he decided that his last NFR happened, it was done.
Yeah.
He wanted to come home. He wanted to haul Cadence her final year. He's like, it's not a little bit, it's done. I'm going to take her to every rodeo. I'm going to take her to like all the things. Because at that point, I'd been taking her. And so he wanted to do that. He wanted to be here and do those things. And now the guy is unbelievable, honestly. Yeah. He gets up early every morning. He does 40-something clinics a year. He does private lessons. He films. He has an online course. He runs a podcast. He runs the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation that is a nonprofit. He runs the American Hero Celebration. It's a huge event. He has meetings about this all the time. They are at $1.2 million in donations. They're fixing to build their 6th house for a military person. I mean,
which is coming up here pretty quick.
Yes, here pretty quick. Yeah. Yep. It's coming up in November, and you can look it up on, American Hero Celebration, Liberty Loyalty Foundation, anything you want to get a hold of him. You can message him on his Facebook, but they are doing an amazing job. He has a panel of people that are just amazing people that truly every ounce of money goes to American military people, first responders. I mean, and it's cool the foundation they've made because they're able to even find like local things that have happened, catastrophes or, you know, first responders that are in a bind or their families and take care of those people.
Right.
And it's just very cool to see how hard he works and how much he does. And it's just like, wow, I never thought I'd say he works circles around me now.
Well, I've seen it this morning. We saw him work circles around you. But I think that that's so neat that going from being a cowboy and we all know the sacrifices that it takes on the significant others or whomever's involved in your life. You know, bless Raymond's heart. I feel bad for him that he always sacrifices for me, but it's the same. And so to see that trajectory change with you guys, I think is pretty sweet and surreal. But he's a lot behind the scenes now, and so just bringing him to the forefront because everything you guys have and do and the kids and all of the things, it all plays a part.
Well, and the thing is that he has never one time put a limit on my crazy dreams. If anything, he is behind them. He's pushing me harder than I even think I can. He is the one that's pumping me to do, you know, more, and that, you know, just, it's unbelievable to see somebody swap from going to the NFR 10 times to, hey, I had my time. I've seen all these things. I want you to do the same, and really jump behind that and support it and not be, you know, it's a hard spot to be, whether it's you're a wife doing it or you're a husband doing it. And for him, he not only does it, but then it's like he grows another arm and takes on something else. And it's like this superhuman thing that he just keeps doing more and more and more, and still just being supportive and still being the leader of our family. And, you know, not only does he support me, and he wants to get to a point, he tells me all the time, like, I want you to get to have to do what you want to do, not work like you've done, you know, in the past your whole life. If you want to go ride X amount of horses a day, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And not only that, but he comes home, he makes breakfast every morning for our kids. He takes our kids to school. He wants to pick our kids up. Like he very much wants to be that leader and that person day in and day out. And it's not just something he says, like he does it.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Talk about the sacrifice, and you've talked about it a little bit, but as you're evolving in your career, this is the 6th year you've pro-rodeoed, made the finals 4 out of the 6 years. Life's changing. It's evolving. The sacrifices are evolving. Where does that take you? You know, $1 million question for the $1 million cowgirl. Where does that take you as your career evolves as well with your kids and your husband and all those things?
Well, right now, and even last year, I mean, I said I would go between 40 and 50 rodeos. I think I went to an even 50. It was enough. And had I capitalized on those, I could have still made the finals. I didn't capitalize on all of them. And so, for me, I want to find stuff. We are still very much a working family. I know everybody looks and they're like, oh gosh, you've won a million. Well, you know what? For that, I invested that. Like me and Charlie don't see any of that money. That's invested for our children to have something when we're gone. And so we are very much a working family, he and I both. And so, I still have to try to figure out what's the best thing for the dollar. What's the best thing for my family money-wise, because this is my career. This is how I make money. And so for me, I am at a point that I think that the futurities have gotten really good. I miss team roping. I really do. Right now, breakaway roping is amazing, and there's so many opportunities. And the committees that have added breakaway, I mean, it is just like, it's so much bigger than even what I imagined from the start. It's gotten so much bigger, and I just can't even. I don't even want to name one specific one because I feel like it's an injustice to the rest, because all of them have just stepped up in huge ways, and I think it's so amazing. For me, the expense of rodeoing at this time for say, and I love our NFR. I love the South Point. I love everything.
There's nothing else like it.
There's nothing else like it. But I've been there and I've done it, and I've experienced this part, you know, X part of it. And I think that for now, if I really look at my expenditure versus what I can win at our NFR and what it does for my family, for me to stay out there and try to make the NFR means I have to bring Creed back to school. Creed has to start school in August, which means I have to go back out without him. And then I don't get to be here for him. And that's just hard. That's hard. That's hard for me to do, and it's hard for any mom to do. And hats off, I've done it, and hats off to those girls that are doing it, because I know there's girls out there right now that are doing it, and it's hard and it tugs at you. But for me, it'd be one thing if I was trying to spend that money and we were making this work to go rope at $30-something thousand rounds. That would be a different shift. For me right now, I want to go and still enjoy the rodeos and do the things I'm doing, but then also go to these things that I really enjoy. And I enjoy training horses and I enjoy team roping. And so to me, I want to go and make sure that I cover those bases as well, and really try to capitalize on some of that. And I like going and team roping at the futurities. It's kind of fun. You enter the open and you look up and you're roping alongside of Trevor and Miles and the Tate Kirkenschlagers and all these and people, and you're like, oh wow, okay. And so it's a really different atmosphere, and it's fun, and I want to be able to be sure that I experience that while I still can. And so just a shift.
Yeah.
Just a shift. I know I said a shift last year, but I went to it's kind of like I feel like I'm like a drug addict. I'm having to like peel away at
wean
it
yourself off
just
a
wean
little
it a
bit
little
at a
bit at a time. Okay, this year I went to 50. Next year, I don't know, and a big part of it too is how your winter goes. When I get to rodeo around here at the good rodeos and stuff, that if you have a great winter and you need to go enough to give yourself a chance of maybe making the NFR, okay, go. I don't see myself ever picking up and peeling away full time and going to 80 rodeos to try to make the NFR, unless there was obviously we had a surprise and like, oh, hey, you're going to rope at the Thomas Mac for this much money. Then maybe, you know what I mean? But right now where the family is and where my heart is, I know that my heart wasn't completely into just beating the road up. And so I just wanted to slow down on that and capitalize on other areas. And that's probably what I'll do next year too.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, man, what a blessing to have the opportunities to capitalize on the futurities, the Kimes Ranch $1 Million Breakaway.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Just not just breakaway, team roping. Maybe you would go back to goat tying. I don't know, but
Never.
WCRA. But there are so many opportunities, and so I think that is such a big blessing. And I just think it's fun. I feel like we've both been able to ride the wave of breakaway at the amateurs, breakaway at the jackpots, breakaway at the pro rodeos. Now all of the opportunities at the Kimes Ranch and all of the WCRA, WRWC.
It's so cool.
It's so neat to have been a part and continue to get to be a part and strive and work to continue to be a part. Man, these little rascals are fast.
They're so fast.
So fast now. But you will always forever be a staple in the industry, and you've left an impact. You're going to continue to leave an impact. If you could tell people one thing about yourself that they don't know, that you want them to know, that Jackie Crawford you want people to see behind the chutes, what would that be?
I think that a lot of people see the competitive side, and it's more of a harder side. It's a winner. It's somebody that strives for competition. That's at all costs, whatever. And it's probably exact opposite of what people probably perceive. I would say, I'm one of the. I feel like I'm very soft-hearted to a fault. It doesn't matter if it's an animal, a person, whatever. Like, I am a very soft-hearted, emotional person. And, they always make fun of me because they're like, you will pick up strays of all sorts. Like, you will go, like, I rescue animals, I do whatever. And it's not, I mean, one of the things that I always wanted to, you walked into this place, and when you walked in, you're like, holy cow, there's people everywhere. And it's like, I don't know, that was my dream. Like, I know what it was like to give somebody an opportunity because I needed that opportunity. And so I've always dreamed of having more to offer, not for myself, but so that I could be those open arms. Like, I want to, if you need an opportunity, I want to be able to offer you no strings, nothing, whatever you need. Come, I mean, right now, my guest barn's full, my, like, everything, with no expectations in return. Like, I want to be that for somebody because I know that people along my path changed my life being that. And so for me to be able to turn around and give that back means the world to me. Like, it does. And I want to be able to just whatever somebody needs, if they're in a bind or they just need a leg up, whatever they need, I want to be that, not, and when the whole goal is not to have them come in and have a leg up and then they have to be here. I want them to use me as a stepping stone and then them go do better, and any time that they have a chance to better themselves, go. Like, let's go find your avenue. Let's go find your thing. Let's, what do you need to better yourself? And like, I don't know. I want to be that for whoever needs it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, world champion, world-class cowgirl, Jackie Crawford, thanks for joining us on In the Loop today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You are officially in the loop.